Hey family, good morning. It is Leontine coming back with our 365 message today. And this morning we're going to talk about something that I am not an expert in, so I really want to kind of make this funny and give you some food for thought. We're going to talk about soul food, food for our soul, and cooking. Which I'll let you in on a secret. I'm not a good cook, and I don't like to cook, but I like to eat good food. My mother's a good cook. My grandmother, both of them were excellent cooks. My daughters can cook. My nephew, my nieces, they're all good. We don't need all these good cooks. I'm good at other stuff. I'm good at cooking other stuff, but that's just a little secret between us, okay? Don't hold it against me. But what I want to talk about is really how our health equals our wealth. Because it's good to eat, but we need to eat healthy. And just taking it from a historical point of view, when we talk about soul food, we think about collard greens, chicken, some ham, things that are traditional, macaroni and cheese, sweet potato pie, and all those things are good, but we have to approach eating and food and diet in a healthy way. We come from a tradition where, when I talk about the tradition of the enslaved Africans here, the Europeans, or the people who enslaved us, they were fed from the land, from the animals, from the plants, and we were the ones out there harvesting and producing the food and making the food. But unfortunately, we did not have the benefit of having the better part of the food, or of the fare, because really we, as the enslaved people, we had the scraps. So a lot of times, and I put the pig down here, because when we talk about chitlins or chitterlings, however you want to pronounce it, pig feet, the things that we ate and seasoned with a lot of salt so it would become palatable, became part of our diet. And now we know that, even though, and I'm not trying to criticize anyone, you can eat what you want. My mother eats pork. I don't eat pork. I don't eat shellfish. That's my own personal dietary choice. I don't consume hardly any milk products. Those are choices that I make for my own body, and I'm not telling anyone what to eat or how to eat it or how to prepare it. This is just a lesson on the traditions and how we got from point A to point B in our history. So certainly I want you to make some yummy, healthy choices and pass on those traditional recipes. And typically at Thanksgiving, we see a lot of those traditional recipes on our dinner table, and we share with our friends and our family. So food is good, but it also has to be healthy for us, because we have our hearts that we have to protect. We don't want to have diabetes. We don't want to be overweight. And a lot of times, what goes in here, through here, what we may put through there, has a direct and profound impact upon our health. And so our health is our wealth. It doesn't matter how much money you have. If you don't have health, then you can't enjoy the abundance of life. You do not want to be sick. And so it's important to find healthy recipes, and enjoy your food. When you eat it, whether you're going out to eat or whether you're cooking at home. I like salads. I could eat a salad every day. I like to bake my food, but everyone in the household is not the same. So, there are people a lot more adventuresome Whitney likes to eat. Lexi likes to eat, and they like more a wider variety of food than I might like. So, I'll experiment with some of their food. But we have to ask ourselves, do you like to cook? My answer is no. But I like my friends who like to cook, because then they'll invite me and I can eat the food that they fix. And it's good. It's a good thing. Because although I don't like to cook, I love to eat good food. I do. Good, healthy, clean food. My mother has great recipes. When I go visit with her, she asks me every time, Gay, do you want me to fix you a pork chop or a ham sandwich? Mom, I don't eat pork. Oh, I didn't know. When did you stop? About 35 years ago. Oh, okay. Okay. So she does it every time. I think that's just her way of trying to torture me. But anyway, the main thing is to be healthy. But I do like cookbooks. Now you probably say, we thought you would probably love cookbooks. And I do. Because I love books. I love all kinds of books. So I love cookbooks. I love the pictures. I love the recipes. And from time to time, I might even try out one of the recipes. But I like more of the design, the pictures and the setting. So that's what I like to do. I like to decorate, get flowers on the table, get the best dishes, pretty dishes. So I love that part of it. But actually getting the food there, I'll leave that to someone else. Now here is someone who, she's not African American, but Martha Stewart. I love her stuff. And so I'm putting her book up here because this is one of the first books that I purchased for decorating, for recipes, and I just love this book. And so here is another book that I've had for years. And this is B. Smith's. I've been to, B. Smith's restaurant. I actually met B. Smith in New York many years ago. And I'm going to reserve commentary on what's going on in B. Smith's life now with her husband and the husband's mistress living in the house with B. I'm not going to say anything. I'll just leave it there. And then, Oprah has had a love-hate affair with food. And finally, you get it right. Food is medicine for our soul, but it's nourishment. But I always like this little book. And I bought this years ago, and I actually did prepare a couple of the recipes in there. Not many, but maybe one or two. And then when we went to the Raleigh-Durham area years ago when Whitney was in college at Central, we went to Mama Dip's Kitchen in Durham. Or was it in Chapel Hill? I can't remember. I think it might have been in Chapel Hill. But we went to her restaurant. It was wonderful, and I bought that recipe there. Now, this book I've had for many, many years, probably since 1968. And even the cover's gone. But this is How to Eat to Live. And this was one of the first books by the Nation of Islam. And this was actually my mother's book that she brought home. But this has the things that we should be eating and the things that our bodies properly process. So I've kept this book and I've read it over the years in especially Lexi. Lexi likes to prepare food and she's read this book too. Certain things like the benefits of eating once a day. We don't have to constantly eat. We do have to eat, but not constantly. I like that book because it's not just, it teaches us about maintaining a healthy body, a healthy spirit, a healthy soul. And then a couple of years ago, I bought the Africa Cookbook, which gives you some traditional recipes from several of the countries on the continent. And then if you haven't been to the book fair around different ones that they have. We have one here in Charlottesville, and I typically go and I will buy books there, and the authors are there, and so I'm not just buying the book for the recipes, but I'm also buying them to get an autograph, and so I have a lot of autograph books, and this is the traditional recipes from the heart of New Orleans, and I do like some of the foods there, but a lot I can't eat because it has shellfish and pork and things, but I kind of like the little spiciness there. And then here's my girl, Patty Pie. Now I bought this book before the Patty Pies were out, and great recipes, and of course Patty LaBelle is a diabetic, and so there are a lot of good recipes in here for people who suffer with diabetes. So that's it. And then my last book that I'll show is Sylvia's. If you've been to New York, you know about the world famous Sylvia's family restaurant. I met Sylvia many, many years ago. She's now deceased. But that on that plate there, I do eat chicken and I do eat fish and salmon. So I just replace it with the red meat or with the pork. But many times within the vegetables you have the seasoning from the meat. But you know, sometimes you fall off the wagon and say, okay, it was in there. It tastes good though. But Sylvia's, I loved it. And the waffles, the first time that I had waffles and chicken was at Sylvia's. It was scrumptious. So I hope that you're hungry and you're going to fix something good for yourself to eat today. Have a great weekend. I plan to see you tomorrow and read some recipes, read to your children, and be happy.